Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's deep dive into JavaScript's optional chaining, a feature that has been a game changer in modern web development. If you've ever found yourself tangled in a web of undefined errors while accessing nested properties in JavaScript objects, then this tutorial is for you. With the introduction of optional chaining in ECMAScript 2020, developers can now access deeply nested properties with ease and safety, avoiding those pesky runtime errors that can crash your application. So let's explore how optional chaining can make your code cleaner, more robust, and easier to maintain, especially in today's fast-paced, data-driven development environments. To begin with, let's talk about the optional chaining operator, denoted by a question mark followed by a dot. This operator allows you to access properties of an object without having to manually check each level of the object for null or undefined values. Imagine you're trying to access a property several levels deep in a nested object. Without optional chaining, you typically have to write numerous checks to ensure that each level exists before accessing the next. This not only makes your code verbose, but also prone to errors if you miss a check. Optional chaining simplifies this process by automatically returning undefined if any part of the chain is null or undefined, thus preventing a type error and allowing your code to continue execution smoothly. Moreover, when used in conjunction with the Nullish Coalescing operator, MAO, you can provide default values for cases where a property is not found, further enhancing the safety and readability of your code. Let's say you're fetching data from an API and the response structure might change over time. Optional chaining becomes incredibly useful here, allowing you to navigate unpredictable data structures safely. In frameworks like React or Vue.js, where state management can become intricate, optional chaining helps reduce boilerplate code while maintaining stability in your application. However, it's important to note that while optional chaining adds convenience, it shouldn't be overused. Relying too heavily on it without understanding the underlying data structure could mask potential issues in your data model. Now, let's look at a practical example to see optional chaining in action. We'll be working with a simple React application. In our application, we have a user profile component that displays user information such as name, address, and contact details. Here's a snippet from our app.js file where we define a user object. The address property is present, but the contact property is commented out to demonstrate optional chaining. In the user profile component, we utilize optional chaining to safely access nested properties. For instance, user.addressStreet allows us to access the street property without worrying about the address being undefined. Similarly, for the email, we use user.contact.email, email not provided, to provide a default message when the contact property is absent. This approach keeps our application stable, even when certain data is missing. Let's walk through a demonstration of our application in action. When you load the app, you'll see a header titled Optional Chaining Example, indicating the purpose of our demo. The user profile is then displayed with the name, street, and city pulled from the user object. Notice that for the email, it shows email not provided, as we expected, because the contact property was commented out in our user data. This demonstrates how optional chaining gracefully handles missing data without throwing errors. By ensuring that our application doesn't crash due to missing properties, we maintain a smooth user experience. In conclusion, optional chaining is a powerful addition to the JavaScript language, offering a safer and more concise way to access nested object properties. It significantly reduces the risk of runtime errors and enhances code readability and maintainability. As you continue to build more sophisticated applications, especially in environments where data structures can be unpredictable, optional chaining will become an invaluable tool in your development toolkit. Thank you for joining this tutorial, and I encourage you to experiment with optional chaining in your projects to see the difference it makes in your code quality. Happy coding!